Hey everyone, so I am in Augusta, Maine, and I scheduled one of my seminars up here for late March. And fortunately, Greg and the Augusta Disc Golf community took care of the weather for us. Like, I had no idea if I was going to be doing this seminar indoors or not when I scheduled it, but it turned out to be like 70 degrees and sunny. And I wanted to do a quick course profile on the courses in Augusta, well, these specifically Greg's courses. But first, a little bit of history. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Morley Field was the first pay-to-play course in the world. Not a entrance fees to a state park pay-to-play, but actually you pay to play around a disc golf. But Maine was the first place to really adopt the idea. I came here in the mid-90s, and there were a bunch of courses in Maine, and they were all pay-to-play. And it was such a foreign concept. Back in the early days, Frisbee's supposed to be free. There was pushback all over, but I don't think there was the pushback in Maine, because in Maine, that's the part of the culture has always been pay-to-play. Now, an interesting thing has happened. This is the wonderful thing about capitalism. Most of the time, we'll set the exceptions aside, but most of the time capitalism works. In Maine, if your disc golf course is not well taken care of, if you don't have good amenities, if it's not a good course, if you don't do things right, your course doesn't survive, because people will go pay to play the course down the street that is doing things right. So this free market has made Maine just a mecca of nothing but great disc golf courses. And so Greg allowed us to do the seminar at his course. So I will thank you, Greg.
Well,
All right, so that was mostly me talking while you're just standing here. But I wanted to give some history, because Maine disc golf, it's part of our sports history. Maine was ahead of the curve by about 2 decades when it came to this model. And they should be commended for it. All right, so you told me an interesting story about this course going in, about buying the property, what it was going to be, and please share that. I think it's awesome.
no, initially it was a farm, or an old farm that was closed down at the time. There was a barn and a brick building here, and my intentions was to remove that from the property, use the property for a hamburger restaurant, a golf driving range, and I had plans of a regular ball golf, 9-hole ball golf course. I was permitted for that with the city. And then it evolved. I opened up initially with the golf driving range, which is off to the side here at the time. And the second year, I opened up the restaurant. We ran the restaurant for 10 years. But in between that, when I ran the golf driving range, I started to realize that I didn't want to go into the ball golf industry, because the ball golfers just seemed to be a grumpier type of person, and I just had a hard time with them. So I was introduced at one point around 2003, I believe it was, to a deaf disc golfer that happened to live down the road and was interested in me getting into disc golf. And he told me to go check out a disc golf course. And it happened to be a rainy day when I showed up at this disc golf course that was about 40 miles from here. And it was raining, and there were people playing disc golf. And I'd never heard of disc golf at the time. And I said, wow, this is a pretty good thing for a business to be doing. So that's basically what got me into it, that people were out in the rain having a good time, and the people seemed happy and go lucky there. So that's basically what started it. He was the designer, Fred McKinley, who was the initial designer of my course back in 2004. Then we proceeded on. I added a batting cage here. I got a baseball batting cage also at the same time as the disc golf course. And then about 2010, I was getting tired of the restaurant business, and it just wasn't working for me. So I decided that I'm going to flip the switch and go all disc golf, or not all disc golf at that time, but I added a pro shop, got rid of my kitchen. We expanded Quarry Run at the time and did a bunch of expansion for practice areas and stuff like that. And then probably another, I guess it was 5 years after that, I decided that I was going to get rid of the ball golf driving range and expand to our second pro course, which was Ghost Tree. and I used 10 down was actually the designers of the Ghost Tree course, Ben Dunlap. And basically we haven't looked back, since then. We're expanding the pro shop again. We'll be at the end of this year expanding the pro shop, and we're adding a third course on Ghost Tree, which is going to be a little bit smaller course than Ghost Tree and Quarry Run, just to keep the play here. So that's basically where we are right now. Keep growing.
Yeah, and I did the seminar up here, and I found the place because I asked the state coordinator where in or near Augusta would be a good location, and they said come here. That was the immediate recommendation. So I come here, and there's 2 tee pads, and there's a setup to put a giant net that we can throw into. And the first thing you said is, you want me to raise the net or not? And I like to see the flight of the discs when I'm helping train people, so I said no, but just to have the ability to do that was fantastic. I was also told, as strange as this sounds, because it's beautiful, it's immaculate, there's rolling hills and everything's clean and nice, and everything looks really sharp, and I'm told by the people that run this facility, like, oh, I can't believe you're looking at it now. In about a month, it's going to be mulch over here, and this is going to be graded over there, and everything's going to be. And I'm like, oh, I thought it looked pretty good.
Well, this is New England.
I thought it looked good without all that.
We had snow on here, a week ago. There was a foot of snow, and everything with frost lifts everything around up here in New England. So we literally rebuild every year, so it starts over again. But yeah, the place definitely looks a lot better in the summertime when the grass is growing.
Now, I got a question. I mean, obviously you take pride in it, and you want something that gets good reviews and people have a good time, and all those things matter. But are you also driven by competition? Like, you want to have a facility that people want to come to. It's part of what.
Definitely we are. I mean, we're all in a little bit of competition, and there's a ton of courses in Maine. There's I don't know what there is now, 50 plus courses at least now. So yeah, we're always in a little bit of competition, just like the players are. We're in competition and reading the reviews and everything, and that type of stuff bothers us. So.
Yeah, the very first course was the pay to play Morley Field. I mean, you didn't play for Frisbee golf. It was Frisbee golf then. You didn't pay for Frisbee golf. It was an obscenity to players, and they made it. It was like $2 a day or something like that. And as soon as they did, like immediately the next day, the riffraff that hung out at the park, drinking and smoking, left. And all of a sudden, families started showing up. And then all of a sudden, there were benches. And all of a sudden, and it didn't take long before people are like, $2, that's worth the better experience.
Well, we know nothing different, because we've
always
always been
been that
paid to
way.
play up here, and it just seems to work out for us here in all
Maine-
our places. We have out-of-staters that come here every once in a while. Well, not so much now, but 5 years ago they would show up and go, "How come I have to pay to play disc golf?" And stuff.
Really?
And then,
It
yeah,
still
at
felt that
first,
way.
at first, and then when you explain to them what they're getting out of it, as far as clean trash cans, is everything's cleaned up, mowed, maintained, and you're the only person on the course. You're not competing against picnickers, bicyclers, or whatever. It's a disc golf course. And most of the parks, I believe, down south have other people in their community. So
Yeah, well, it's a mixture.
yeah,
And I like when there's also free parks, because then you can attract both demographics, where you can offer, you pay more, you get more, and then you have people that can pay more that want a different experience.
Right.
So I like the fact that our sport has both, for sure, but it's just the model's great, and the way the culture here just accepts it. So tell me about the 2 courses.
the 2 courses we have. Well, Quarry Run is basically the shorter, fun family course. Another issue in Maine we have is exaggerated pars, and that may be because of the pay-to-play.
I've heard that.
I've had problems with it, and I've tried to change my pars, but they're exaggerated to make you feel good, and it keeps you coming back.
Yeah, there's 500-foot par 5s.
Yeah. There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
When we designed,
I like it.
When we designed Quarry Run has the exaggerated pars. I'm not going to say it isn't. It's a par 3 course, but it's not set up that way. It's to make people happy. There are par 4s and 5s on that course, and there shouldn't be. But it keeps people happy and keeps them coming back. Ghost Tree was designed pro par, and it is. It's a tough course, and the pars are correct on that course. If you see a 5 on it, it's deserving of it. So
How many acres do you have here?
60 acres.
60 acres, and how much of it is this open area, and how much is the woods?
It's about You're about 1/3 you see to the field, to the wood line there, and then it goes back at least another, well, I shouldn't say that's 1/3, that's about half the line there.
And
it's a mile back.
But there's only a few holes out in the field here.
There is. There's Quarry Run has 1, 2, 3 in the main field, and the 18th comes down, and 17th is partial field too. Then it's in the backwoods, but we have a small field in the backside too. They kind of exit in and out of that field out back. Ghost Tree is primarily in the woods.
Okay, I love it. So if you are in Augusta, Maine, come out to Augusta Disc Golf. Do they find you on Facebook or just look up Augusta Disc Golf?
Facebook is mainly where we're at, and I believe it's Augusta Disc Golf. Yeah.
All right, cool. Anything you want to add?
Not really.
All right.
Come out in the summertime when the grass is green.
All right. Now, I am going to do an experiment here. I'm going to unplug the microphone, but I'm going to walk in and show you guys the pro shop because it's really cool. And if you're going to be here, I don't want to unplug the mic yet in case it turns off. Bring some extra money and go spend it in the shop. It's actually, it's spectacular. Now, I'm going to talk, but I don't know if that's going to work or not. All right, we're gonna step in real, take a quick walkthrough.
It's a mess in there now too because we're not open for the summer. So.
Yeah, it's officially not open yet, but look at this. Huge selection of discs. It's hard to find discs these days. So, if you have some money, yeah, definitely bring some extra cash to spend. Thanks, guys. Hey everyone, I'm now on Patreon. Click the link below. Not only keep the free content coming with tutorials, tips, podcasts, etc., but get a bunch of free stuff like live stream Q&As, copy of my book, voting on topics, behind the scenes, bunch of cool stuff. Click the link down below to join.